Good morning, students. Today we are going to see the OC chapter number 2, principles of principles of management. In that we have already seen principles of scientific management given by Frederick Taylor. Today we are going to see techniques of principle of scientific management. Okay, there are three techniques of principles of scientific management: time study, motion study, and different wage rate system. Okay, as you can see over here, time study, motion study, and differential wage rate system. Okay, now what is time study? Time study means to when we start with any of the work in business unit. Okay, by how much time that particular work should be completed. Okay, we do research on that. Okay, that this particular work is started, then this particular work has to be completed by 10 days or by 15 days. As when we start with the chapter, we also decide as teachers that okay, this chapter is for this much pages, so it should get completed within 4 days or it should get completed in 3 days. That is called as time study. In the same way, in the business unit also, whenever they start with any of the work, then they first research. If they do the research and find out that it will take how much time in normal circumstances. Okay, in normal circumstances means, for example, teacher decided that she or he is going to complete the chapter within 4 days. Okay, but a natural calamity comes up and the holiday is given in the school. Okay, so that is abnormal condition. Okay, so during the normal condition, okay, it should get completed within a prescribed time period, that is called as time study. Now what will happen because of time study? Because of time study, we will get a time frame that this particular work should get completed within this much days or within this much hours. So the work will be done quickly and the work will be done speedily. So that is one advantage of time study. Okay, now motion study. What is motion study? The main aim of motion study is maximum utilization of resources. Means there should be no wastage, removing of wastage of resources. Okay, removing of wastage of resources means what? To do maximum utilization of resources, all the resources, whether they are physical resources are related with employees, and next is the material resources means machines, raw materials, land, etc. Okay, so maximum utilization of resources without any wastage, that is the motion study. Now how there will be the wastage? Okay, because of unnecessary and unproductive movement of men and material, that is machine, there can be wastage of resources. For example, a machine, okay, is having some problem. Okay, it's not working properly. Okay, then the resources that we are using with that particular machine, that resources will get wasted. Okay, or else the man, okay, the man doesn't know how to use that particular resource and he or she will not use it up to the mark, so resource will get wastage. So due to the unnecessary and unproductive movement of man and machine, the wastage of resources can take place. Okay, so what can be done? Okay, the management has to be careful related to movement of man or related to movement of machine. If machine requires repair work, if machine require maintenance, the management should do it, so there is no wastage of resources. As well as if man is making the mistakes, means that is then that particular man is facing the problem of fatigue. Now what is fatigue? Fatigue means extreme tiredness or exhaustion or extreme frustration which has come by doing the work mechanically. Okay, so when the movement of man goes wrong because of extreme tiredness or exhaustion or frustration, so if we find that yes, some persons are going through this particular problem, then the business unit should give them the break. Okay, and if we will give them the break, and when the person returns, when the worker returns, his mind will be fresh and his efficiency will increase and there will be no wastage of resources. Okay, so that is the motion study. And last one that you already know, that is different wage system. Now what is differential wage system? Differential wage system means that there are many workers working in the business unit, but some workers are more efficient and some workers are less efficient. Okay, so here the technique or one of the principle of scientific management that is given by Frederick Taylor, he says that the worker having more efficiency should get more wages or more salary than the other worker who is having less efficiency. Okay, so that is differential wage rate study. Okay, so we have 3 studies under techniques of principles of management, that is time study, motion study and differential wage rate study. Okay, so here we complete with Frederick Taylor. Okay, we have seen the who is Frederick Taylor, we saw the meaning of scientific management and definition of scientific management according to the Frederick Taylor, we saw principles of scientific management, 8 principles of scientific management, techniques of principles of scientific management given by Frederick Taylor. Now we are going to see all about Henry Fayol. Okay, so I think so very one of the biggest uh, topic of this chapter of Frederick Taylor is completed. Now we come to the next topic, that is principles of management given by Henry Fayol. Okay, when we saw theory of the thoughts of classical theory, okay, we saw that Henry Fayol has contributed in the thoughts of classical theory. So one of the concept or one of the theory which is included in the theory of classical is this theory. Okay, so what it says is the Henry Fayol has divided the administration principles or administration work into 6 activities, and under each activity what work has to be done, that also he has fixed. Okay, so no confusion at all. So Henry Fayol has divided the administration principles or administrative principles into 6 activities, and under each activity what work has to be done is also fixed. Okay, where he has given this particular principles of management, he has given this principle of management in his book named Industrial and General Management in the year 1961. Okay, so you can find this particular administrative principles divided into 6 activities, and under each activity what work has to be done in the book named as Industrial and General Management. Okay, and Henry Fayol is a French engineer as well as industrialist. So let us see how he has divided the administrative principles of the industrial unit. He has divided them into 6 parts. First is technical activity, commercial activity, financial activity, safety activity, accounting activities and management activities. Okay, really very easy. Okay, what work can be done under the technical activity? You can see here clearly under technical activity he says factory machines and problem related to the machines or activities related to the production, that all will be done under the technical activities. Commercial activities, what work has to be done under commercial activities? Purchasing, selling, exchange of goods and services will be done under commercial activities. Financial activities, all related to finance, procurement of finance, that is capital, use of capital, okay, maintenance of the fund, reinvestment, that all will be done under financial activities. Safety activities, whose safety? Safety of employees, safety of assets, safety of goods, raw material, that all the work will be done under safety activities. Accounting activities, to make the financial statements, procuring necessary statistical analysis, and management activities. What will be included in management activities? Planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, controlling. This all activities will take under management activities. So you can see it's really very easy. Technical activities is related with machinery, okay, and activities related to production. Commercial, purchasing, selling, exchange of goods. Financial activities is related to procurement of capital, use of capital, fund maintenance, reinvestment. Safety activities, whose safety? Employees, safety of assets, safety of raw material. Accounting activities, that is to make financial statement, to procure statistical analysis, and management activities include planning, organizing, directing, controlling, coordinating, etc. Okay, so this is the principles of management by Henry Fayol. They has divided the administrative principles into 6 activities, and under that each activity he has also clarified what work has to be done. Okay, now the very second topic is principles of Henry Fayol. Okay, there he has given 14 principles. Okay, management principles given by Henry Fayol. Okay, 14 principles he has given. As you can see, division of work, discipline, unity of direction, okay, authority and responsibility, unity of command, subordination and individual interest to the general interest, remuneration of personnel, centralization, scalar chain, order, equality, stability of personal tenure, initiative, and feeling of oneness. Okay, that is spirits de corps. Okay, now today we are going to see only 7, as there are 14, and this is almost the last topic of this particular chapter. So we will just see 7. There are 14, so we'll see half of it. Okay, half points I am going to explain today. The very first is division of work. Yes, division of work is really very important. You need to do division of work, means distribution of work. You cannot do all the work. Okay, division of work has to be done. Yes, the division of work, the who will divide the work? Obviously the higher level management. Okay, the people having the higher efficiency will do the division of work, but they have to divide the work, then only we can get specialization. When we distribute the work, even in the class, when the teacher gives the work to the students, they will first know who is good at it. Okay, I tell them to make a chart for an exhibition. Will I tell any student that please make this particular chart without knowing whether he is good in drawing or painting, or how he or she writes, about the handwritings? I need to know everything, right? So in the same way, who does the work of distribution of work or division of work? It is done by the higher authorities, but they will distribute the work according to their expertness, according to their specialization. If the division of work is done according to the ability and capability, the specialization of work will be possible. Okay, so that is division of work. Second one is authority and responsibility. Yes, authority and responsibility are two sides of a same coin. Okay, authority and responsibility are two sides of the same coin. Now why they say so? Because authority and responsibility have to go together. Authority is also known as power and responsibility. Whatever you want to write, you can write. Okay, so authority and responsibility always go together. They are interrelated with one another. Now why they are interrelated with one another? Why they are two sides of a same coin? Okay, simple. Okay, if somebody has the responsibility to do that particular work, okay, but not given the authority, then can he be able to do that particular work properly? The answer is no. Example, we as teachers are giving so much of work, okay, that the student should study, student should do that, student should do this. Okay, but if we are not given any authority, if we are not given that yes, you can take any strict actions against the students, strict actions like not beating or something like that, but to call their parents, okay, or to do counseling with it, talk or inform the principal, whatever. So if we are given the work but we are not given that power to do the work, then the responsibility is useless. That is why responsibility and authority goes together. With the work you have to also give authority, then only it is possible to do the work properly. Okay, so that is authority and responsibility which goes together. Okay, so here in short, here the responsibility and authority will be given to the middle level management and lower level management. Okay, and when the work is assigned or when the authority is given to anybody, okay, some parameters will be kept in mind. Parameters like their education, okay, position of the employees, okay, knowledge that he has, the experience, okay, maturity, This all will be kept in mind of the employees, and then only the responsibility and authority will be given by the higher level management to the middle and the bottom level management. Okay, the next one is discipline, very important. Okay, if there is no discipline in the business unit, the predetermined objectives of the business unit cannot be achieved. So it is very important that there is discipline in any of the industry or any of the business unit. If discipline is there, if there is discipline, automatically there will be harmonious environment in that particular business unit. Okay, there will be no fighting. Okay, if there is discipline maintained, there will be no conflict among the employees or among the different levels of management. So discipline is really very important to keep control over the employees. Okay, so for discipline you have to make certain rules and regulations, or you can say rules and code of conduct, and you have to tell each and every employee of the business unit to follow this rule and code of conduct. If they will follow it, automatically they will be in control. The discipline will be maintained easily. Okay, there will be harmonious environment, friendly environment without fighting. So that will also bring interest. Okay, that will also attract the employees to work even more. Okay, they will get satisfied with their job. So discipline is really very important. Okay, because a teacher, if they don't keep discipline, then they have certain powers. Under all the levels of management, certain powers are given. If they don't follow the rules and code of conduct, then certain strict actions will be taken. Okay, they will be not given promotions, or they will be even penalized, or they will be even fired from the job, etc. can be done to control or to bring discipline in the business unit, because discipline is really very important. The fourth one is unity of command. Very easy. Unity of command means what? Unity of command means, okay, there should be, suppose there is a particular person should receive orders and instruction only from one boss. Okay, suppose I am working, okay, Yoma is working in a business unit. Okay, and I am getting instructions and orders from 5 people. Now which order and instruction I have to follow? Lot of confusion. Okay, so this should not happen. Okay, so unity of command says that a single employee should receive orders and instruction also from a single superior, or a single departmental head, or a single boss. So there is no confusion, otherwise Yoma will be confused. She is getting the orders and instructions from 5 different superiors. Now which work to do first? A big question mark. Even Yoma will get frustrated. Okay, that so much of work, even she wants from me, even he wants from me. Which work I will do first? When I will do? How I will complete? Okay, so unity of command says that a particular person should get the orders and instruction from only one superior. Okay, so that is unity of command. In the same way, we have unity of direction. That is also one and the same. Unity of direction says what? Unity of direction. What is direction? Direction means giving guidance to the employees, guiding the employees, showing them the right path. If they are doing anything wrong, if we find any deviation, we have to correct them and lead them to the right path. That is direction. Who can do direction? Who can do the work of direction? The superior can do the work of direction. But there should be only one superior over group of employees. That we have to remember. If suppose there is a group, in a group there are 10 employees. So this particular group is being supervised, okay, or is being directed by 5 supervisors. What will happen? 5 supervisors will guide them in a different way. Okay, which guidelines they will follow? Lot of confusion. So over here also, where group of employees are working, direction should be done only by one superior. Very important. Okay, so that is unity of direction. Next one, that is the 6th one, subordination of individual interest to the general interest. Now individual interest that is individual means employees interest, okay, that is employees objective, and general interest means business objective. Which is more important for the business unit? Employee objective is important or the business objective is important? Business objective is more important for the business unit than the employees objective. Okay, so what can be done? Okay, the one thing can be done, we can link the employees interest with the business interest. Okay, we can tell them that yes, I know you want more salary, I know you want a holiday package from us, I know you want a car from us, I know you want this position next year. No problem, we are ready to give, but this is our objective. Fulfill our objective and you will get your objective also. So here you are connecting the individual interest or the employee interest to the business interest. So subordination of individual interest to the general interest. Okay, sometimes, but the employee interest is very much different than the business interest, not at all connected with the business interest. Then we need to tell the employees that the common interest, general interest, business objective, that is more important than his objective. Okay, so that is subordination of individual interest to the general interest. Okay, we have to explain them that the individual interest is not of that much of importance than the business interest, so that everybody works or coordinates to get the business objective. Okay, and seventh and last one for today, that is remuneration of personnel. Remuneration means salary, personnel means employees or workers. Okay, so salary of employees, salary of the workers. Okay, remuneration of personnel. Remuneration is most important thing. Why they work? Only one question I will like to ask, why they work? Okay, sometimes we say they are very rich. Okay, though they are working, why they are working? To get money, to get salary, to get wages. So the best way to make the employees happy is to give them good salary, good wages. Okay, so in short, idle wage system, okay, idle payment of wages or idle wage system should be followed by each and every business unit, so that they can give proper salary or wages to the employees or workers. And if you do that, the employees will be really very happy. Okay, and they will be happy with the owners also. Okay, and if the owners and employees are happy, there will be no conflict in the business unit. We will able to maintain the industrial peace, there will be harmony in the business unit. Okay, so it is very good if you give good salary or wages to the employees. Owners as well as employees both are happy. Okay, one more thing that you need to remember in the remuneration of personnel that we have already seen, that is differential wage rate system, that also he has also, Henry Fayol has also included. He says that if there are if out of 10 workers 3 are more efficient, then that particular 3 employees should be paid more, okay, than the other employees. So he also says that yes, there should be a differential wage rate system. The employees who are working more should be given more remuneration than the others. Okay, so he also support the principle that is given by Frederick Taylor. Frederick Taylor also says, right, in the techniques of principles of scientific management, third one, differential wage rate system, he also includes that particular point in the remuneration of personnel. Okay, and the one last point in the remuneration of personnel is, other than salary, they should be given bonus. If the business unit has earned lot of profit, then somewhat profit should be shared with the employees, with the workers. Okay, for some of the very senior most employees should be made the part of the board of directors or should be made the part of the managerial committee. Okay, this all should be done. So that is remuneration of personnel. So here we complete with the 7 principles of management given by Henry Fayol. Okay, tomorrow we are going to see next 7. Okay, next 7 and the last topic, which is contribution of Peter F. Drucker in the field of management. Okay, so out of 14 principles of Henry Fayol, 7 we have seen, 7 we will see tomorrow, and then contribution of Peter F. Drucker in the field of management. That's it, and then the chapter gets over. Okay, thank you.